Today, I'm doing another video on this bed replacement on this 2002 Ford F-150. In my last video, I showed you guys sort of what I was dealing with, showed you guys the holes in the bed and all the rot. Frame is actually, like I said, really pretty solid. I wouldn't consider it rock solid, but the frame is solid, the bed mounts are solid, the shock towers are solid, all that's salvageable. So yesterday what I did is I just started cutting out pieces. This whole bed is going. I took the tailgate off. I'll probably save these plastic bed rails, bed rail covers. The tail lights are coming off, but there's 6 bolts. I've got 4 of them out. The front 2 were completely rotted out around where the bed bolt goes on. And this is what the mounts look like. It's gonna be kind of hard to see because I don't have very good lighting in this garage, but that's what the bed mounts look like in the front. There's 2 of them, one on each side of the frame. But yeah, I was really worried that these weren't going to be intact. When I pulled those bolts out, I was worried that little mounting bracket right there was just gonna, crumble off, but it didn't. I've taken a hammer, I've just beaten this frame like crazy with it. Nothing is broke, nothing is cracked or shattered, nothing. So I got the new bed. It's a brand new bed from Texas. Completely rust free. It is white, it's not the same color. I've thought about having it painted, but at the end of the day, this was a $3,000 truck. I really don't care if the bed matches. I would say at least 40 to 50% of these early 2000s Fords that are up here in northern Indiana have a different colored bed on them because they all do this, they all rot out. I mean, these beds are just very cheaply made. I don't know why Ford did this. The trucks themselves are very reliable. They'll run forever with these 2-valve, modular motors in them, but the quality on the metal was not very much up to par. So what I did is I just kind of took a Metabo and cut around here. I cut the bolts in a triangle pattern at the top. So just, 1, 2, 3. I took a chisel and a hammer and I just drove them out. Sometimes you have to climb underneath the bed and wiggle them out a little bit. It started pouring down rain yesterday when I was doing this outside. This one's still in here. All I have to do is go under there and shimmy the little sleeve nut that connects this to the frame, and then they just pop right out. So I think I just got this one left. I think I got 2 more to do. So yeah, I have that one over there in the left-hand corner, which I'm just gonna cut the top of that bolt right off since that's already exposed. And then this one. And I'll show you kind of what you're gonna be dealing with here. Some guys in the rust-free states, they don't have to worry about this, but this is what it's gonna look like. That's part of the original bed frame. As you can see here, just look at this. That's how bad this bed was. What I did is if you're not going to salvage the bed, I highly recommend just doing what I did. I just took a Metabo and I just cut a big ass square right where you're going to be working, and I just angled it down in there and I just cut the top of the bolt right off. That way you don't have to worry so much about driving it out or getting it stuck. But this is what these look like. That's 21 years, or 20 years, I should say, of just rust and road grime and corrosion. Take my advice with a grain of salt, but if you are going to replace one of these beds and the bed that you're taking off is just completely roached like this one, I would recommend giving yourself a little bit more working room, because then you can just angle right down in there and just zip the whole top of the bolt off. I mean, as you can see on this one, I just cut right through that whole thing, right through that whole little cylinder here, and those bolts just drop right out. If you do it like this one did, like I did on this one, it kind of gets stuck and wedged in there. Like I said, they're not too hard to get out. I didn't want to take a torch to it. You know, you're close to the gas tank if there's any leaks or anything. Not saying that a spark wouldn't light this thing up as much as a torch would, but you know, it's just a personal preference. I just didn't really want to take a torch to it if I didn't have to. But I'm gonna get these taillights off. I'm gonna take these off, these plastic mold pieces, get the rest of these bolts off, and then once I get this whole thing off, I was gonna drive it out to our little scrap dump we got and just throw this thing right over the side of the truck. You are going to have to, your filler neck here, there's a little, underneath here where your filler neck is, you're not gonna be able to see it, but there's a little clip, a little locking, ratcheting clip. You're gonna wanna loosen that up. And then you're gonna wanna undo these, I think there's some screws in here. I know on the Chevys there are. Yeah, you undo these screws and then that filler neck is free. That way when you're taking the bed off, you don't rip your filler neck right out of the gas tank. But yeah, that's about it. I'm not trying to beat a dead horse here, but that's what I'm dealing with right now. I think the truck's worth it. I paid $800 for the bed, but it's a completely rust-free bed. It came with brand new taillights, all new wiring harness, which I don't even think I'm going to use. The guy gave me these with it. All the hardware is usable from it because he kept the hardware when he took it off of the truck that he got it from. Like I said, it's from Texas. I mean, everything was, the threads were immaculate. I mean, so I'm just going to reuse those. It'll save me 40, 50 bucks in buying all new bed hardware. But this is what you deal with in northern, you know, the northern Rust Belt states if you don't take good care of your trucks. And this is also proof of what those cheap plastic bed liners will do to these early 2000s Fords. I've had Rangers do this. I've had other Ford F-150s on our farm do this. They all do it. Undercoat, undercoat, undercoat. I can't stress that enough. Keep your truck clean. When you see rust, try and get it dealt with right away as long as it's something structural. And yeah, so I'm excited to show you guys the process of, I'm probably not going to show you the process of putting the bed on because it's pretty self-explanatory, but I'm going to show you the nightmares that you might run into while you're doing this. And hopefully this gives you guys a little bit of a shortcut to getting it done quicker if you're not going to keep the bed. So thanks guys, and stay tuned.